I felt like Lee Pulliam was the story of the whole weekend, in my opinion. I think he was the biggest story of the whole weekend. He might not have ended up being the most talked about thing by the end of the weekend, but in my opinion, he should be. I think it was the most important, coolest thing that we saw all weekend. We saw him get a little nervous, get a little emotional in his interview. He had a moment with Dale Jr. on pit road after the race. That was really cool to see. He ran top 5 all race long. He actually did really good with his pit stops. If he didn't screw up, because he screwed up a couple of restarts, obviously he had the one where he said he spun his tires. It looked like he missed a shift, but what he said that he just badly spun his tires on that one and ended up taking out Carson Quaffle and half the field. That was a big error on his part. But other than the restarts, I think he was phenomenal and honestly probably would have won the race if he didn't have the issues on the restarts. Because I felt like Justin Allgaier was king all day, but by the time that Lee Pulliam really figured out how to race this car, I felt like he was the best car out there at the end of this race, but just, yeah, he really screwed up a couple of restarts at the very end. And we saw this with Bubba Pollard for Junior Motorsports. Now we see it with Lee Pulliam. We need to continue to get these talented short track racers, and like Josh Berry is the prime example. We need to continue to get some of these local short track drivers racing. It's just really difficult nowadays with the way sponsorship works and the way money works with these cars. Like Nick Sanchez, for example, is going to race to the Rock, and we'll talk briefly about that a little more later. But it's really, this sport is driven by really money and sponsorship pretty much 100%. It doesn't really, the skill matters to a certain degree, but overall it doesn't really matter. But we saw Bubba Pollard do so well at Richmond for Junior Motorsports. Now we see Lee Pulliam do so well for Junior Motorsports at Martinsville. Dale Earnhardt Jr., I have so much respect for that guy. He's probably my favorite person in NASCAR in general right now, just because of how much he gives back, how much he does for the sport. He tries to keep that old school flair, that old school mentality in the sport. I really respect him for putting Lee Pulliam in the car, because he probably really had to convince Jerky Boys to get on Lee's car, and I don't think Jerky Boys regrets it, because Jerky Boys probably got more promotion this past weekend than they've probably ever had, other than maybe Junior mentioning them on social media quite a bit, because I know they're a personal sponsor for Dale Jr. and for Junior Motorsports down in the Cars Tour and stuff like that. But just honestly really awesome to see. I want to see more of this. We are going to see another Cars Tour driver in the Rockingham race. Connor Hall will be racing for Nice, so I'm very excited about that. I just like having these local short track guys get their opportunities. That's one of the big reasons why I'm such a big fan of the Ram race for the seat and Minnie Tyrell being able to come in there. Minnie Tyrell hasn't had the greatest start to the year, but Ram as a whole hasn't done great yet in the Truck Series. They're still trying to figure it out. They don't even have a sim. They don't even have a simulation over there. But just to see some of these local short track guys get their opportunities, it's awesome. I would love to see Landon Huffman get out there and get an opportunity. Some of these other local short track guys as well. I think it would be really cool. I guess I'll start with Tyler on this, because Tyler's a big time Dale Jr. fan, and he knows a lot about how NASCAR used to be, where it was more about talent, and the team would just the team would find a sponsor for you. They would find money for you if you had the talent. Nowadays, the driver has to bring the sponsorship and the money to the team, and I'm just not a big fan of that. And I just like the way Junior runs things, and I want Lee Pulliam. First of all, I want Lee Pulliam to get more opportunities, and I just want local short track guys to get more opportunities as well. But Tyler, first of all, how did we feel about Lee's performance on Saturday, the moments he had on pit road with his interview in Junior, and just overall about these very talented local short track asphalt guys getting more opportunities in the sport?
He is 100% what we need in the sport. I mean, those guys are going to bring more fans and more views to the sport than anybody else ever will. I mean, you're keeping dreams alive when you have a short track guy that actually makes it to one of these series. So, I mean, for all of that to happen was beyond huge for NASCAR, and they
Yeah.
don't even realize it. And then Junior to realize how important it is to have one of these guys and to keep the dream alive in one of his cars, not just a car in NASCAR, right? But one of the top cars in NASCAR. To go out there and actually compete means everything. That guy was out there and he killed it. I mean, a couple of mistakes, absolutely, because we don't practice for whatever god awful reason. But besides that, I mean, if the man would have had another 2 days in the car, there's a high chance he would have won that race. 100%, I believe he would have won that race. I was rooting, sitting there at work, rooting him on, telling everybody we're about to see a miracle happen. If he would have won that race, we would have seen NASCAR turn on its head for a hot minute. Like, it would have proved talent means more than everything else.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more because drivers like Lee Pulliam, like Bubba Pollard, if drivers like that can come into the sport and win like that, win immediately, I don't know if it would be an overnight shift in how drivers are hired and put onto race teams, but it would definitely at least change the mindset and at least open up the door for some of these very talented drivers that may not have rides, like a Nick Sanchez, like a Cory like these local short track guys, like a Landon Huffman, like some of these dirt guys that might not be as well known. It just really opens up the door, I think, for the drivers that have the talent, not necessarily the drivers that just have money stuck up their ass. So I'm a big fan of having talent over money. That's just how the way I look at it. And I think most NASCAR fans look at it that way. I know a lot of these people that are high up for these race teams are business people, not necessarily racing people. So I do understand where these people are coming from. Is like, well, this guy has all the talent, but how the hell do we pay for the car? How do we pay for the bills? Like, this guy doesn't have any money. So I do understand that sentiment, but if you take a chance on one of these guys like Ali Pulliam, the money will just come in later. Because Jerky Boys, I think, got more attention this past weekend than they've ever had. And I think that's really cool. Cory, how did we feel about Lee Pulliam's performance? And how do we overall just feel about these local short track guys? Or really, I know you're more of a dirt guy compared to an asphalt guy. Like, they're included in this. How do you feel about these just drivers that are very talented, not necessarily having an opportunity, but might get an opportunity because of what Dale Jr. is doing with Junior Motorsports right now?
I think it's awesome. Like, I think what Lee Pulliam did was very impressive. I think he was in the top five for most of the day. Second, if he didn't have that one mistake, he's fighting for the win with Allgaier. Like,
For sure.
having no experience and then jumping in and doing that is beyond impressive. And then hearing how humble he was during the race, running second, telling Dale Jr. he's like, I'm trying my best, and then Dale's just sitting there like, well, you're in second, so you're doing a darn good job. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he didn't say that specifically, but it was pretty much the same thing. He's like, he held himself to a high standard, and that got him almost a win and a top five with his first race in the O'Reilly Series this year. It's like, it's impressive. Like, I hope more drivers get shots like that in good equipment so they get the respect they deserve, they get the acknowledgement they deserve, and they can show how impressive and how talented they are on a regular basis.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I would just love to see some of these drivers get more opportunities. And then, yeah, I think Lee in his head throughout the whole entire weekend was, if I don't go out there and kick ass, get a top five, win the race or something like that, I'm probably never going to get an opportunity to do this again. And honestly, he's probably right, unless Junior wants to fork over all the cash for the whole weekend, which he might be willing to do. It wouldn't surprise me. But Lee knew coming into the weekend, if he doesn't go out there and just kick ass and perform as well as he could, he might not get another opportunity to do this again. Like, look at Bubba Pollard. Bubba Pollard was fantastic at Richmond, but he's yet to get back on the car as well. So it's just very difficult for these drivers that don't really have a lot of money or really any sponsorship to do what Lee and Bubba Pollard were able to do. And the only reason they were able to do that is because Dale Earnhardt Jr. gave them a hell of an opportunity. And I can't commend Dale Earnhardt Jr. enough. That guy's a badass. I love Jr. for everything he's done since retiring. He's, in my opinion, he's still the face of the sport, and I really respect what he did. And then just seeing Lee Pulliam on pit road in that interview, you can tell he was nervous. He kept on screwing with his hat. He was trying to hold in emotion as best he can. You can tell that he wanted to just cry his eyes out. He was just so happy about how well he did. So it was just honestly a really beautiful moment for the sport, and hopefully we see more of this in the future. But let us know your thoughts in the comments. How do you feel about Lee Pulliam's performance, and how do you feel about local short track guys, local dirt guys, any driver that's extremely talented getting more opportunities, even if they don't have sponsorship or money to their name?